feels so much, Atticus, to carry a whole world's hope with me. It's a lot of distress. It's not that I don't care about the world, but it's that I miss my family, my mother, my warm little village. It's so distressing being in such a bleak world. And as much as I wish I could truly help these people, it's so much. But thank you for being with me, Atticus. Your encouragement through all this has been helpful. I guess it's enough reminiscing, though. We need to continue on. The world needs its sunlight. Let's go.
I hope you brought a light bulb, for you will need its warm and magnificent glow through your journey through Oneshot. Before we get too much into this, I do want to state there are 3 versions of Oneshot. We are playing the World Machine Edition, which is originally a console exclusive version that is actually recently announced coming to PC. Now, I want to state the interface of the World Machine Edition is different from the original 2 versions of Oneshot, and do spoil a little bit of the game because of this. So, if you want the original experience in that particular surprise to be, well, more of a surprise, it's more recommended to play the second version of Oneshot. The original version of Oneshot, which was a freeware version, is quite different from the retail versions that you can get on PC and console. The PC and console versions have a fleshed out story, while the original version had a very, how should I say, a Sopranos type ending, you could say, where it just ends with no real conclusion, and actually featured several more darker endings, because the title came from this freeware version. You had one shot. You had to play the game, and if you didn't like the outcome you got in the freeware version, well, unless you're really familiar with PC shenanigans, well, you couldn't replay the game. The game was serious. You were given one shot. Now, this isn't a thing in the retail version, because paying money for something where you get one shot would obviously be considered outrageous, obviously. And some of the darker endings will change. Well, the main character could die from the actions of not caring or time passing and that. With that said, though, if you want to experience the original Freedom version before experiencing this, this is a particular choice of your own desire. There is not a normal place to get that version, though there are places that host it. But you have to obviously want to trust said places that are hosting those links, so those you will have to decide on your own. I could not find a official place to get the original version anymore. Anywho, with that out of the way, again, we were talking about the World Machine Edition, which, while its interface has differences to it, the story, as far as I understand, is the same, but it does have additional things that are, how should I say, more cosmetic, but fun little additions to the slight aspect that I said you get spoiled in the World Machine Edition because of the interface difference. So, with that said, I'm assuming you are accepting the fact of that portion of the game being spoiled. And like I said, it's just a minor thing, and to be honest, if you play even the original version, it will likely slowly creep up about that aspect anyway, so it's not like it's something you don't really start wondering about until like hours into the game. It's likely something that's going to slowly creep into your mind within like probably 10 minutes and beyond. So let's get into One Shot, the World Machine Edition. The tale, you play as Nico, who awakens in a small room, trapped and capable of leaving. This is your tutorial on how to play this game. So this game uses a very RPG aesthetic, like being a retro sprites net, having a menu of items and things, though you don't fight battles or anything. This is a very kind of point-and-click eventual kind of puzzle-solving kind of thing, where you'll wander around the world, talk to characters, find items, and figure out how to solve puzzles and progress forward in the environments. And in this room, you will find a remote and need to take it to the window. Now, you open your inventory and can select items to be held and interact with items and find ways to use items. So in this tutorial, you use the remote in the window. You see lit up in this dark room certain buttons associated with certain colors, and this is used as a code on the computer, which begins the game. So the doors are unlocked and a computer screen comes up and refers to you, the player. The world is not worthy of being saved in its eyes. Will you go and trudge through it? Your mission is simple. You are to help Nico leave this world. And that is all. And you and Nico are unleashed in the world. So, the first thing you have to do is escape this apartment room that you're in. Upon doing so, Nico will be armed with a light bulb that lights up from his mere touch, and this begins the prophecy of this world. Nico is tasked by the world to bring the light bulb to a tower in the world. The light bulb represents the sun, light, hope for this world that is dying. Nico and you will travel through this world and see how it has been dying and perishing from the lack of the sun, life, and purpose of capable of moving on, as each area of dealing with their problems and the ways that they go about it differently with more or less success than other areas in the world. You'll go from the most dead and bleak area of the world to the most lively and remains of most life in the world. And your journey will give you morals and tests on what is right and wrong and what you should do. So what is the minor spoiler I was talking about the World Machine Edition introduces you to? Well, this is additional gameplay mechanics. The original version of the game is a computer game, of course, but the thing is, as you play the game, you're forced to actually interact with your computer. You have to actually go into the files and find things to actually solve problems. Because of this, it was deemed that One Shot was never possible to ever have a console version, hence why the Machine Edition was meant to be a console edition, for it simulates a PC. You start with a desktop and booting up One Shot on a computer desktop. You have documents and other files and folders on your desktop. It is a simulation of a computer. This aspect is not immediately reflected in the PC version, but like I said, you are forced to go into files to solve puzzles. So of course the aspect of that would dawn on a player as you do that. It's a meta thing. You are a character in One Shot. And as many meta games that do that, you're left to be the moral compass of the character a lot of times in those kind of games. Nico will ask you for advice, your opinion, and even have general conversations with you. But in general, the world considers you a god. Of course it does. They're running on your computer. You're considered the master. But what will you do to help Nico in his journey? You'll traverse the world and solving puzzles. There's no violence or fighting or anything. But as you go about the world, a strange glitchy mess follows Nico, and sadly, tragedy strikes in many places with it. The corruption of the world is showing, and it's slowly deteriorating the world more and more. Nico's controls are pretty simple. You can move up, down, left, right, and even diagonal, and you can even sprint around. There's also fast travel options within areas that you're exploring, as there is some back and forth, so if you want to go a little faster, you can do that. As mentioned, the original freeware version was a one-shot experience, and while the retail version does not follow to heart that mode of gameplay where you only have one shot, you do have still a crazy story to figure out. During your journey, Nico and you will have many conversations, and you can choose to be nice, helpful, or rude to him in many of these. In your journey, there are side things you can do that aren't mandatory to move forward. I missed a few little things, but I got to do a number of things, and there are also a lot of silly interaction outcomes you can do by interacting with certain people or things with items that add some extra shenanigans to the game. But overall, the game has a very depressing and sad and somber mood to it, being a world that is dying. And your journey through it will really depict on how you want to interact with it and whether you want to give love or mercy or anything to it. Now, the World Machine Edition, as I said, simulates a desktop. So you have the game open in a window. You can play it in this windowed mode or full screen it, but like I said, you have to interact with a PC, so sometimes you will have to change it back into its window mode to interact with folders to get images and documents and things to be able to solve puzzles within the game. Now, some of the new aspect of the things in this is basically has to do with the simulated mode. Being a simulated PC mode, you can customize the game's wallpaper and get additional documentaries. The Friends app will open a little window that will show sprites and basic information, and sometimes even a little bit more additional information about the NPCs that you meet throughout the world. There are actually a few interesting notes in here that expand a little bit on the lore on some major characters in one shot that you didn't get from the original version of one shot, well, the original PC retail version of one shot. So if you're really big one shot nut, you might be a little interested in these actually, because they add a little bit to all the characters, some being a little bit more than others, but overall it's information that wasn't all available in the original versions. While all these things aren't necessary, there are additional things and little collectibles. And what's interesting about these things is they're interactive with your mouse cursor, which is on screen. On the console version, of course, you have to simulate it. The right analog stick simulates your cursor, while the left analog stick or the plus pad can be used to move Nico. So you can both move your mouse cursor in Nico, and while you don't get to interact with so many things with your mouse cursor, a lot of these new bonus items do let you interact with them where Nico cannot interact with them. So to unlock many of these additional things for your simulated PC mode, you are required to move your mouse cursor and click, click, click. I did get a good amount of these, but there were a few things, like there was one wallpaper I missed that actually was because of a cutscene where Nico was running away, and I didn't catch it in time. So it was like, oh no! And while a lot of these things are just flavored extras and things, I have to say I like one of the last wallpapers you unlock after you finish the game. Well, I won't go into what the context of that wallpaper is. It almost feels like it would have been fitting as like a final image, like after the credits or something, because it gives you a really like nice, satisfactory kind of little finish to Nico's journey through this world, I guess you could say. The game has very delightful music that sets up the mood, and some of the tunes you may actually want to look up and take a nice listen to. Aesthetically, the game is very pixelated, retro looking. I'm not 100% sure if it was actually made in one of the RPG Maker engines or not. I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure now. I'll try to maybe note that here. Overall, I really loved my journey through Oneshot, and if you want to seek more knowledge and truly help Nico in the world, you will have to be a little creative in what you do in the world, and stay determined, you could say. But we'll obviously go more in that in the spoiler section. Continuing on though, what would I say Oneshot is worth? Honestly, I really like the character. Like, I knew of Nico for a very long time, but I've never played Oneshot until this version. I originally was going to play the Itch.io version, which I did get in a big Itch.io bundle, which is where you can get the game free on PC. But obviously, when this came out, especially with a physical version for limited one games, well, color me sold. I think Oneshot is a delightful little tale that I think is worth a simple and nice $19.99. A nice $20, I think, is a fair price for Oneshot. I think it has a decent story, great aesthetics, good music, a nice story, and a little extra replay if you want to get all the goodies in the World Machine Edition, as we're talking about, and lots of funny action things you can also do, on top of getting all the other endings if you wish and desire to. Now, if you want the original retail version of Oneshot, which is a PC only, it is a $9.99 on Steam and $10 on Itch.io if you want DRM free. If you want the Machine Edition on consoles, the Switch and the PlayStation, it's $14.99 digitally. So the World Machine Edition actually became available on PC actually September 30th, 2024. So it actually literally just came available recently from the date I'm recording this, at least. I'm not 100% sure when this video will be out because I'll be editing this on my Japan trip that I'm taking in October. But I'm actually literally recording this audio on the 1st of October. So that's actually kind of interesting. It had just came out, so I was not actually aware of that. So we can actually list a price for the World Machine Edition. It interestingly is on sale right now for $7.99, but its normal full price is $9.99. It is also sad to report there is no DRM-free version of the World Machine Edition as of right now either. So if you want DRM-free, the OG Oneshot experience, the retail one, not the freeware one. Well, let's just say, unless I say freeware, when I say original at this point, I'm talking about the first initial paying version. Let's put it that way. But the original version will be your only DRM-free option for now. Hopefully, maybe they'll do a GOG version, which oddly enough, this game isn't available on GOG, which is very weird, actually. Because it's a very highly weighted game, so I don't know why that would even be a thing. Now, obviously, as usual, I very rarely play digital-only games, but, you know, we occasionally get one. I mean, there's going to be one in the future, the Fear and Hunger, as a certain YouTuber would put one game. But of course, I got the physical limited one version on PS4, which was, of course, marked up as limited one will usually always do. This was $34.99, which is still not a bad price, to be honest. I think it's still quite worth that, but I think around 20 is a much better price. Obviously, you know, I think 20, as I always say, you know, the $29.99 is usually the standard minimal physical. So, as stated, yeah, they marked it up as they do, you know. Now, of course, for those savory people, may note that, of course, the PC versions are $9.99 and the console digital is $14.99. So I'm actually thinking they are actually undersold. I think it is worth a nice $20 experience personally. I really liked the game. It's very charming and everything, and you get a decent one time out of it. Depending on your speed, the game averages about 5 to 9 hours, depending on whether you literally want to do everything in the game, or whether you're just going to speed one through the main story and not interact with unnecessary NPCs. Either way, I think that is a fair price, honestly, for everything you get in this neat little package. I definitely recommend this little eventual puzzle game. It'll keep you on your toes, and I think by the end, you'll feel for the cause. With that, though, let's get into spoilers about Oneshot. As we stated, the World Machine Edition makes it very clear that Oneshot is being ran on a PC. The game is, well, a game. It is being ran on your PC, but Nico is clearly told you multiple times is not a part of the game. Nico is Nico. Nico has came from a different world, and he somehow wandered into this one. And that's why you're told to guide Nico out, to make him get out of here, because he's not part of the world, and the world is dying. And Nico shouldn't die with a digital game, should he? Or should he? Both in the freeware and both versions of the pay version, World Machine and the original PC version, all cover one same moral choice near the end of your first play of Oneshot. Should you care about Nico's life over the world that you spent all your time exploring, or should you sacrifice that world for Nico? When arriving at the top of the tower, Nico is given a choice, and then he gives you that choice. For he trusts you, the quote-unquote god of this world. You'll find out, going up the tower, that by putting the bulb in the tower, Nico will be trapped in this world. But if Nico smashes the bulb, he can return home, he can leave, but dooming this world to purgatory. In the original release, my understanding, this is where the game ended. You weren't given a real answer or outcome to your choice. But in both the retail versions, this isn't the end. You can leave it as the end, but for those who want to know, or those who are determined to see if whether this really is the end, you can defy the person who told you to help Nico leave and re-interact with the world of Oneshot. You can reconnect with Nico and find that he didn't suffer whatever outcome of your choice was. Be it smash the light bulb for him to leave, or be it to put the light bulb in. Nico will wake up and you will defy the voice that continuously encouraged you to try and get Nico to leave. And this begins part 2. Your second one of Oneshot can be a second attempt or many attempts. In this attempt of Oneshot, you have retained your knowledge. Both of you and Nico, though obviously you are a little more better than Nico. Nico's memories are a little bit more fuzzy, though for the most part he does remember many things. This shows that the world has been on a loop, whether it was before you actually began the game and it's been looping already, it's unknown to you. Maybe it's more left up to your thoughts on whether it is or isn't been the case. Either way, depending on your success to continue exploring the world, you may loop a few more times, or you may find a way to break out of the system. Once you find out how to break out of the loop, you'll begin your journey through the final path. Upon the final path, you will explore more new places and meet new faces and learn more about the world. Your journey through this path will lead to watching many people suffer in the world, dying even more extreme than your other playthroughs through the world. But ultimately, they will lead you to know and understand what's going on and to help a sad and broken machine. Nico will encourage the world machine that keeps this world to fix itself. The world machine is what the world is on, and the machine is breaking. It itself knows it's breaking, hence why it wanted Nico to leave. It was the voice on computers telling us to help Nico leave. It knew what it was doing, and it knew it was failing, and it knew Nico's life wasn't worth dying in this world. But all the same, Nico and the player together helped the world machine recover from its ailments, for Nico to leave and return home, and for you to be satisfied with the outcome. Or are you? Interestingly, and this is in the retail versions, I originally thought maybe it was a edition of just the World Machine edition, but it is apparently in the original PC retail version, where you can actually replay the game as the World Machine, simulating the outcome and events of Oneshot, where you'll play kind of a glitchy version of Nico, indicating that it is a simulation, because Nico has left the world of Oneshot. He's in his world. He's being happy. You know, he's living his life, moving on. And this is an interesting way to offer the ability to continue playing the game without deleting your save and shit, which probably isn't that big of a deal with its original PC release versus the World Machine Edition, where the World Machine Edition, you know, you actually have unlockables and things with the virtual PC, so yeah, you know, having that deleted is a little bit more of a loss. But that closes the game for the most part. It's a delightful little adventure, and I really liked it. The final desktop you can unlock in Oneshot World Machine Edition is a wallpaper showing many drawings of the characters from the game, showing that Nico had retained his memories in the events of Oneshot. And while he is gone and will never go back to that world again, he remembers those memories, those experiences in that world that he helped save, and the lives in that world he helped save. It's a nice fitting little end, honestly. I almost really wished it would show up after the credits as like a picture, instead of having to secretly find it in the folders. It's just a really nice, sentimented end to it all. Overall, I really do like this game, and I encourage anyone who hasn't went out and go play, pick a version you want and play it. Be it the World Machine Edition on PC or consoles, or one of the older versions. And it might be worth experiencing the freeware version if you can find a safe place to get it from. But it isn't necessary. As I said, it just leaves you, stranded for a conclusion to that. Which, I mean, there's an interesting point to that too. With that, our journey through the world came to its conclusion. If you have any questions, or if you feel like you learned anything new, feel free to leave a like and a comment down below. And if you feel like you learned nothing new at all in this, feel free to leave a dislike. Feel free. Until next time, I'll see you out there in virtual space in the next meta game. Nico's out there, brightening the world with his smile. Stay positive.